Footwork was always my weakness, so I spent ages trying to figure out how to improve it. Along the way, I've picked up 5 subtle footwork tricks that help me move around the ring more effectively, and I'm going to teach you them so you can improve your footwork as well. And make sure you stick around to the end, because without the last one, the rest are useless. Subtle footwork trick number 1 is the step pivot. Now, taking an angle, as I'm sure you know, is pretty useful. Instead of just going backwards all the time, ended up on the ropes getting trapped, you need to take angles. But if you just pivot, my opponent's here, I'm still sort of in firing range. Same if I went this way, I'm still in firing range. So adding a little step with your lead foot is key for getting outside of this firing range, taking a bigger angle, and therefore putting yourself in a better position so that you can counter-attack whatever they've just attacked you with. So I'm going to take my lead foot, step it to the left or the right. Let's go left first. I'm leaving my back foot where it is, and then I'm pushing off my back foot and pivoting round. And do it going the other way. Step, push off, pivot round. And I've taken a bigger angle. There's layers to this though. You can add a slip with it to take your head further off the center line. So although that step does take your head off the center line, if you slip with it as well and then push off, you're just getting further out the way of their shots. And same there. This one is also a game changer, and that's using half steps. So a full step is taking both feet, either forwards, backwards, right, and left. Okay. But a half step is just taking one foot at a time. So just taking my front foot or just taking my back foot. This is really key for pushing off, changing directions, and just taking yourself just out of range of the punches and then coming straight back in. Great for counter attacks as well. You can defend with a drop step and then come back in with punches. You can also combine it with head movement. So I could bring my front foot in and slip. Same going backwards, same going to the side. And you can also use it for changing direction completely. So I could almost feint with my half step. Let's say I'm going to the right and then push off because all my weight's there to go to the left. Okay. So I could do it going the other way too. Like so. The key to making the half step effective is the weight transfer between each foot. Right, as I'm drop stepping backwards, or half stepping backwards, I'm putting all my weight into my back foot so I can push off and come back forwards. Same going forwards and pushing backwards. Okay. It's just that like little impulse into the ground, which allows you to change direction, change the range, change the angle, and have better footwork. The next one is shifting. Now there's 3 different types that I'm going to briefly go over, and that is the Jack Dempsey shift, the kick step, or just shifting to the sides. Okay. First of all, the Jack Dempsey one, that's where you're stepping forward. Now this is a little bit risky, especially if you're a beginner. Don't do this. You can throw a punch and step with that foot at the same time, come into the opposite stance, and you can throw another punch and keep switching stances as you come forward. I actually do this like subconsciously sometimes in my fights, but I wouldn't recommend doing it because obviously as you do it, you're squaring up on your opponent. You can walk straight into a shot. But if it's something that you found is quite effective, give it a go. The next one is kick steps. So that's where you take your front foot, a little step, and then you push off with your back foot. Notice how I'm rotating my body here, and then I'm pushing off with my back foot, and I'm sort of bringing my feet round, bringing this lead foot round that way. And I'm taking an angle here. Make sure when you shift that you move into a nice, stable, unbalanced position, and you're not shifting and then like falling all over the place. You can also go the other way, so I can step here, and again, I'm rotating my body, and then I can bring my rear foot round here to this position. Okay. So I can go there, or I can go to my rear side there. Side shifts, what it says on the tin. If I'm going to my lead side, then I'm going to push off with my rear foot. So all the weight's here. I'm just going to shift sort of in a diagonal direction like this. And I'm just going to push off, open and close my stance, push off, shift to the side. This is great for just getting an angle. I could throw a couple shots and then push off. And then I'm off at an angle to get into the body or around the side of the guard. Or I could go to my right. This is a little bit more tricky. This is where you shift the weight onto your front foot. You bring this back foot round and then you push off that front foot to take an angle. This is great if you've got someone on the ropes and you say throw a 1-2 and you can shift to the side and throw a second cross at an angle. Although these footwork movements look like they're quite easy to perform, they're actually pretty difficult and they take a lot of speed, accuracy and finer details in technique, as well as lots of drilling, drills after drills after drills to get these footwork techniques working properly so you can use them in sparring and a fight. I've actually covered these in depth with drills in my boxing roadmap. I think they're in one of the later phases, phase 7 or 8. And the link for that's in the description. The next one is the L step. And I know it's shamed for being useless and dangerous, but anyone who says that is just like, I don't know, just thinks they're hard or wants to be perceived as someone who knows what they're talking about. But like everyone does it, so why would you not just learn? The L step, right? Although you would never do it in range, because I think that's why people think it's dangerous, is a great way of just taking an angle. Because all you're doing is basically like a side step, but you're moving out of range and to the side at the same time, as opposed to having to go 1 step backwards, 1 step to the right. You could just so much quicker, way more effective. And you're not going to get caught because you're not going to do it when you're like fine on the inside here. You're not just going to be like, you would just never do that. It just doesn't make sense, right? So when you've stepped out of range, the L step is super effective, taking an angle and circling round your opponent. How you do it then is you want to push off with your front foot whilst pushing your rear foot out sideways. Okay, so push off with the ball of your foot and then you sort of replace where your back foot is a little bit to your lead side as you push that foot out. So it's like this. And then as you get to that position, you're pushing off your lead foot and you step in. Okay, so I'm pushing off here, replace into here. As this back foot lands, I'm just pushing off with that lead foot and just bringing the foot across, okay? Alright. Now you'd use this, I don't know, be attacking, foot defense, you move out of range, and then you use it to move around, take an angle, okay? You could also drop your head off the center line with it too, as you do it. And finally, subtle footwork trick number 5 is something we coined the Nick skip in Hybrid Warrior Elite. It's the most common mistake people make, is leaving their back foot behind when they're trying to close the range. Every time you're going for an attack, the one thing that's holding you back from landing your punches is leaving your back foot behind, right? When you leave your back foot behind by doing the traditional open the stance before closing it, if you do that whilst you try and punch, you can't get that cross. You can't let that cross go without reaching forward and leaning forward like this. So you lean forward with that. Not only do you put yourself in range to get countered, but you also off balance. You don't get any rotation and it's just an arm punch like this, right? Whereas if I bring my back foot in, then I'm closer in range. My back foot's planted. So I still get the rotation and I don't have to reach forward. I can keep my head back, right? So that's what the Nick skip is. The Nick skip is this subtle little movement here. Bring that back foot in and then the front foot goes, okay? Learn this by first replacing where your front foot is with your back foot, okay? So it's like a little side step. Bring the back foot in to where my front foot was, and now my front foot obviously goes out forward. However, as you get better at this, or once you've learned that little skill, then you want to bring your back foot less further in, okay? So it's like, it'll come in like 6 inches, and then the front foot will follow the same, like that. And then you just want to make this small little adjustment all the time. Combine that with some drop steps, You can adjust the range really easily just by using this little footwork trick. So that's the next skip. All right, those are the 5 subtle footwork tricks that will make you more effective in moving around the ring, which I learned through years of trying. And now you've just learned in like the last like 10 minutes. So pretty lucky, to be fair. See you later.